Today I am reviewing the Lynx Hilo D2A A to D converter. Before we get cracking on this, let me just explain why I've got this in some kind of dodgy rack unit. Lynx, in their wisdom, decided to not make any rack ears for these things. So really, a lot of people like Prism and all those, if they've got a small sort of half a rack unit, they'll put some screws in and make some little nice flash like ears, if you like, rack ears. But they haven't done that for Hilo. What they decided to do was build something that's similar to this. This isn't the original one, this is one that I've made, so that you can have two of them. Now, most people in the real world only have one of these, they don't have two. So I know they're maybe trying to upsell two, but really most people have got one. So it would be nice if there was some rack ears, but there's not. So basically people have to make things like this. I bought a rack and then I've sort of double-sided sticky taped it to the rack, which obviously is working quite well, but it's not great, is it? It weighs a ton and it's not very portable now. So that's it, the gripe over. That's my only problem with this, because this is actually a great converter and I really like it. I switched out from my Prism Dream, mainly because I was getting a bit bored, but it was purely, mostly for the amount of connections that this thing's got and its versatility on the front end of routing stuff and moving things around. I now work in a hybrid situation. Loads of plugins are brilliant these days and loads of hardware is good. So I use a lot of hardware for colouring the sound and getting a sort of flavours that I can't get if I'm in the box. But then there's loads of plugins that I use that I can't do with outboard gear because they're, you know, clever stuff and they're more manipulative and things. So that's why I use a lot of plugins. So, and I don't think that they sound that bad these days if they're with the right companies. So that's why this comes in really helpful, because I've also got digital outboard gear. So I'm able to route this in loads of different ways, however I want to use my room, very quickly. You can save scenes on it. So you can say, okay, well, this is my digital first, then analog, and then in the box, or whatever combination you want to use, and just try different combination stuff. So that works really great. Let me run through exactly what it's got. I'll try and keep it as brief as possible, because there is a website made by Lynx where you can go and bore yourself silly with technical specs and stuff like that. But I'm here just to give you a user's view rather than a boring kind of, yeah, you know, whatever. So we've got an on-off button, big news. There's this massive touch screen on here, and that gets you through all the different things that it does. Also on here, if you haven't got external meters, you can use, there's some metering on here as well that you can use. It's quite handy. Especially if you're using this on the road, that would be pretty cool, because you've got a headphone socket here. Now, before I get into the sound of it, I'll just mention the headphone thing. Really good headphone preamp in here, so that's quite nice. That sounds really good. And then you've got this kind of detented knob on the front. So moving on to the back, there's expansion card ports. So if you want a certain expansion card, as in USB, I've got USB here, so I can use USB-C to my computer, which is great, really easy. You've got XLR ins and outs for the D2A and A to D. So I love these because they're on XLRs, they're not on TRS like guitar things that I always find just pull in and out and are a little bit clumsy, where when you've got the XLRs they lock in, and always been much more professional in my opinion. Then I've got some monitor outputs which are on guitar, like, you know, 1/4" jacks, so that's a bit poo, but they've obviously got to save some space. But that's if you just want to go straight out of this as a monitor panel, so good to have. AES in and out on XLRs, sorry, let me just show XLRs there, which is brilliant. It's also got SP diff or SPDIF on there, in and out, and you've got optical in and out too. So they're well covered on the digital side and on the analog input side. Word clock in and out. If you wanted to clock it from another word clock, then you could do that, or use their word clock. I used to have a word clock going into this, but the word clock in this does sound really nice, so I binned that and I now use the clock from here to run my system. So that's handy. And there's also a battery input, so you can actually use an external battery on it if you are taking it on the road That's pretty good to have. And obviously the ISR and the IEC lead, which is a kettle lead that goes in there for power. So there you have it, loads and loads of connections, which is the main reason I bought it. Now sound wise, how does it sound? I compared it to my Prism and I compared it to a few other things before I dived in, and I really liked it, mainly for the fact that it didn't colour the sound at all. From a converter, I really want to be in charge of how I'm colouring a sound as a mastering engineer, because it's all those finer little colours that build up the sound to what the sound actually ends up being. So I don't want to always have to have the signature sound of the converter on my stuff. If I don't want it, then I really want to have it off. I want to plug in the things that I want in the chain. So having something that's super transparent is great. I love the sound of the Prisms. The Prisms have their own sound. They're brilliant, but they've got this kind of warm harmonics going on in the low end, which is fine for some music, and it does sound posh. It doesn't change the level of the stuff on the Prisms, and it does sound really nice. But when I compared the two, I just thought, okay, well, this one's more transparent. I'd rather go for that. And that's what's good in a converter. So that's why I like it. It's really good, very simple to use, easy to set up, loads of ins and outs, and it sounds super clean. So I'm more than happy with it. And it's very portable. So if I am running around doing stuff, which I'm not, but if I was, then it'd be great to use. So there you go. That's it. That's the Lynx Hilo. If you want more specs and if you want to know more detail on exactly what it's doing, as in the menus and all that kind of stuff, then go to Lynx's website and check it out there. And yeah, thanks for watching. Until next time, if you've got any comments on this, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.